The government just killed the penny, and now they're coming for the nickel. House Resolution 1270 is sitting in Congress right now, a bill to suspend the production of every single nickel in America. And honestly, it makes sense. It costs the U.S. Mint 13.78 cents to produce one nickel. That's almost triple its face value. The government has been losing money on every nickel it makes for nearly 20 consecutive years. So when this ban passes, and it will, every nickel in your pocket, your junk drawer, your coin jar becomes a collectible overnight. But 5 of those nickels are already worth over $100,000 each. And you need to know exactly what to look for before these coins disappear from circulation forever. This is the nickel ban, and these are the 5 nickels you cannot afford to spend. The year is 1937. The Denver Mint is running behind schedule. Production demands are brutal, and the dies, the steel stamps that press the design into every coin, are wearing out faster than they can be replaced. So a mint worker makes a decision. Instead of pulling the worn die and waiting for a replacement, he grabs a polishing tool and starts grinding. His job is simple: smooth out a small crack in the die so the press can keep running. But he goes too far, way too far. When the polishing wheel hits the reverse die, it doesn't just smooth a crack, it grinds away an entire leg from the buffalo. And nobody notices. The press keeps stamping. Coins keep rolling out. And thousands of nickels leave the Denver Mint with a buffalo standing on 3 legs instead of 4. This is the 1937 D3-legged buffalo nickel, and it is one of the most famous error coins in American history. The moment collectors spotted it in circulation, word spread like wildfire. People were pulling these coins out of pocket change within months of their release. Banks were getting requests for rolls of nickels from the Denver Mint. And the U.S. Mint, embarrassed by the mistake, pulled the die from service, but not before an estimated 20,000 coins had already been struck and released into the wild. Now, here's what makes this coin so dangerous to miss. The missing leg is on the front right side of the buffalo. If you're looking at the reverse of the coin, the buffalo should have 4 clearly defined legs. On a genuine 3-legged variety, that front right leg is completely gone. Not worn down, not faded from circulation, gone. The die polishing removed it entirely. But there's a critical detail that separates the real ones from the fakes. On a genuine 3-legged nickel, the area where the missing leg should be still shows a faint outline or slight lump. That's the remnant of the over-polishing. Counterfeiters who file down the leg on a normal nickel can't replicate that subtle detail. There's also a secondary marker that experts look for. On genuine 3-legged nickels, the back of the buffalo, the area along the spine and hip, shows signs of excessive die polish as well. The lines are smoother than they should be. The fur detail is softer. This is because the mint worker didn't just polish the leg area, the polishing wheel swept across the entire reverse, softening details everywhere it touched. The auction record for this coin sits at $99,875 for a specimen-graded MS 66 Plus by PCGS. That's nearly $100,000 for a nickel that exists because someone was in too much of a hurry to change a die. But even circulated examples in VF or XF condition regularly sell for $350 to $2,000. That means a coin you might dismiss as just another beat-up old buffalo nickel could be sitting in a jar right now, 3 legs and all, waiting for someone to flip it over and actually look. And once the nickel ban takes effect, these coins become frozen in time. No more circulation, no more lucky finds at the bank. What's out there right now is all there will ever be. If you have a buffalo nickel from Denver, dated 1937, flip it over and count the legs. Your future self will thank you. 1916. The buffalo nickel is only 3 years old. James Earl Frazier's iconic design, a Native American chief on the front, an American bison on the back, is still fresh on the presses. But inside the Philadelphia Mint, something goes wrong during the die-making process. A working hub strikes the die and then it shifts. Slightly. Just a fraction of a millimeter. And then it strikes again. The result is a doubled image on the obverse, the front of the coin, where every detail from the chief's portrait is duplicated in a ghost-like overlay. This is the 1916 double die obverse buffalo nickel, and it is the most sought-after double die variety in the entire buffalo nickel series. The doubling is dramatic. You can see it on the date, on the word liberty, and on the feathers of the chief's headdress. It's not subtle wear or machine doubling. It is a clear, crisp, unmistakable secondary image slightly offset from the primary strike. What makes this coin particularly dangerous is that most people don't even know it exists. When collectors talk about famous double dies, they mention the 1955 Lincoln cent or the 1972 Lincoln cent. Almost nobody mentions the 1916 Buffalo nickel. That means these coins have been sitting in collections, in junk boxes at coin shows, in inherited bags of old nickels, completely overlooked for decades. Dealers have admitted finding them in bulk lots they purchased for melt value. Collectors have pulled them out of albums they bought at estate sales for $20. The key to identification is the date. On a genuine 1916 double die, the digits 1, 9, 1, and 6 all show strong secondary images. The 1 and the 6 are the easiest to spot. The doubling on the 6 is particularly pronounced, with a clear shadow digit visible to the naked eye. You don't need a loupe. You don't need a microscope. You need to pick up the coin and look. But here's the trap. There are 1916 Buffalo nickels with what's called machine doubling, a flatter, shelf-like distortion caused by die bounce during striking. Machine doubling is common and nearly worthless. True hub doubling is round, raised, and shows separation between the primary and secondary images. If the doubling looks like a shadow with depth, that's real. If it looks like the letters were scraped sideways, that's machine doubling. And you can put the coin down. In high grade, this coin is a monster. An MS-65 specimen graded by PCGs sold at auction for $134,750. Even in lower circulated grades, VG fine, genuine examples sell for $3,000 to $10,000. And the population is tiny. PCGs and NGC combined have graded fewer than 200 examples across all grades. With the nickel ban looming, every old nickel is going to get a second look. But most people will be checking dates and mint marks. The collector who knows about the 1916 double die will be checking the doubling. That knowledge is worth 6 figures.
No error, no double die, no missing leg. The 1926S Buffalo Nickel is just plain rare, and that rarity makes it the single most valuable regular issue Buffalo Nickel in mint state condition. The San Francisco Mint struck just under 1 million of these coins in 1926, and a tiny mintage compared to the tens of millions produced in Philadelphia and Denver the same year. But that low mintage is only half the story. The real problem is survival. The 1926S was struck with weak, overused dies that produced coins with soft, mushy details right off the press. Most examples entered circulation in what collectors would consider below average strike quality. The high points of the design, the feathers, the buffalo's hip, came out flat and poorly defined even on brand new coins. That means when these coins hit circulation and started to wear, the already weak details vanished almost immediately. A 1926S that circulated for even a few years became nearly featureless. The date, which sits on a raised area on the buffalo's shoulder, wore down to nothing. Millions of 1926S nickels are sitting in collections right now with the date completely gone. Cataloged as dateless Buffalo nickels and valued at 50 cents. The owners have no idea they might be holding a key date worth thousands. In higher grades, the 1926S is virtually non-existent. Finding one in mint state is, meaning it never circulated at all, is one of the greatest challenges in all of American numismatics. Discounting only the overdates and variety coins, the 1926S is the rarest Buffalo nickel in uncirculated condition period. The auction record sits at $149,500 for a specimen-graded MS-65 by PCGS. But you don't need a gem mint state example to make money on this coin. A 1926S in fine condition where the date is still readable sells for $75 to $150. In very fine, $200 to $400. In extremely fine, $1,000 or more. Even in AG or good condition, as long as that date is visible, you're looking at $40 to $60 for a coin with a face value of 5 cents. The identification is simple, but critical. Look at the reverse of the coin below the words 5 cents. You need to see a small S mint mark. If the coin is dated 1926 and has an S under 5 cents, hold it. Do not spend it. Do not throw it in the junk pile. Get it in a protective holder immediately. The difference between a 1926S in a junk box and a 1926S in a grading slab can be tens of thousands of dollars. When the nickel ban hits, every dateless Buffalo nickel in America becomes a potential treasure hunt because some of those dateless nickels are 1926S coins. And a simple acid date restoration or careful examination under angled lighting might reveal the one date that turns a 50-cent coin into a $50,000 payday. This is where things get truly insane. Imagine minting a coin with a date that's wrong, and not misspelled, not missing, but wrong. A date that shows 2 years at the same time. That's exactly what happened at the Denver Mint in 1918, and the coin it produced has become America's most famous nickel overdate. Here's the backstory. In 1918, the Denver Mint needed a new obverse die to produce Buffalo nickels. Instead of creating a fresh die from scratch, someone at the Mint took a 1917 dated die and repunched it with a 1918 date hub. The idea was to save time and material. A new date stamped over the old one and the press keeps running. But the old date didn't fully disappear. The ghost of 1917 remained, lurking underneath the 1918, visible to anyone who looked closely enough. On the 1918/7-D, the evidence is in the final digit. The 8 in 1918 sits on top of the 7 from 1917. You can see the top curve of the 7 peeking out from beneath the 8. It's not a die crack, it's not damage, it's the literal skeleton of last year's date showing through this year's number. 2 years sharing the same space on the same coin. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. This variety was first publicly documented decades after the coins were struck. For years, collectors handled these coins without realizing what they had. The overdate is not visible on heavily worn examples. Circulation wear smooths out the fine details of the underlying 7. That's what makes higher-grade examples so explosively valuable. The better the condition, the more clearly the ghost date appears, and the more money the coin is worth. The auction record is staggering, $350,750 for a single specimen, graded MS65 by PCGS. Let that number sink in, $350,000 for a nickel. Even in lower grades, this coin commands serious money. An XF45 example sold for $7,800 in early 2024. A VG8, a well-worn coin, still brings $500 to $1,000 at auction. You could walk into a coin shop with one of these in your pocket and walk out with a mortgage payment. The total mintage of 1918 D Buffalo nickels was 8.3 million coins, but only a fraction of those were struck from the overdate die. The exact number is unknown, but the survival rate across all grades is tiny. PCGS has graded fewer than 500 examples total, and the number in mint state can be counted on 2 hands. Here's your identification checklist. The coin must be dated 1918 with a D mint mark on the reverse. Then examine the last digit of the date, the 8. If you see the faint curve of a 7 beneath it, you are holding one of the most valuable nickels ever struck. Even a suspicion of the overdate is worth getting the coin professionally examined. The cost of authentication is nothing compared to what this coin is worth. And when the nickel ban passes, the window to find these in circulation slams shut permanently. Whatever 1918/7D nickels are still out there, mixed into jars, sitting in shoe boxes, buried in inherited collections, that's the entire supply for the rest of history. $4,560,000. That is the auction record for the coin you're about to learn how to identify. And there are only 5 of them on the entire planet. The 1913 Liberty Head nickel is not just the most valuable nickel ever made, it is one of the most valuable coins in American history, period. It sits alongside the 1804 silver dollar and the 1849 double eagle as the holy trinity of American numismatics. And unlike those coins, the 1913 Liberty Head nickel was never supposed to exist at all. Here's the story. In 1912, the U.S. Mint officially retired the Liberty Head nickel design and replaced it with James Earl Fraser's new Buffalo nickel, which debuted in February 1913. No Liberty Head nickels were authorized for production in 1913. The design was dead. The dies should have been destroyed, but someone at the Philadelphia Mint had other ideas. 5 Liberty Head nickels bearing the date 1913 were secretly struck inside the mint, almost certainly by a mint employee named Samuel Brown. Brown was a clerk at the mint who had access to the coin presses. In December 1919, he placed an advertisement in a numismatic publication offering to buy 1913 Liberty Head nickels for $500 each. A suspicious ad, since no one outside the mint even knew these coins existed. When no sellers came forward, Brown conveniently discovered all 5 specimens himself and began selling them to collectors. He had created the demand and then supplied the product. A con job, a masterpiece, or both, depending on who you ask. The 5 coins have since passed through some of the most famous hands in numismatics. One was owned by King Farouk of Egypt. Another appeared as a prop on the television show Hawaii Five-0. A third disappeared for decades, presumed lost, before it was rediscovered in a closet in 2003, inside a plastic holder, sitting in a bag with other coins, completely forgotten by the family who owned it. That coin, the George Walton specimen, sold for over $3 million. The finest known example, graded proof 66 by PCGS, was acquired by Great Collections in a $13 million 3-coin package deal in 2021. The nickel alone was valued at approximately $4.5 million. When it changes hands again, experts predict it will break $5 million. Now, the chances of finding a 6th 1913 Liberty Head nickel are astronomically small. Most experts believe only 5 were ever made, and all 5 are currently accounted for. But here's why this coin matters to you right now. The 1913 Liberty Head nickel is the reason people check old nickels at all. It's the coin that put nickel collecting on the map. It's the dream coin, the ultimate lottery ticket. And with the nickel ban approaching, the story of this coin is about to get even bigger. Because when the government announces that nickels are done, every single American with a jar of old coins is going to start searching. And when they start searching, they're going to learn about this coin. And the demand for the 5 known specimens is going to skyrocket. Even if you never hold a 1913 Liberty Head nickel in your hand, knowing it exists, knowing that a 5-cent coin can be worth $4.5 million should change how you look at every single nickel you touch. Because the 4 coins that came before this one on our list prove that fortunes are hiding in plain sight. 3-legged buffaloes, doubled dies, overdates, ghost dates, errors that the mint tried to bury and couldn't. The nickel ban is coming. The government has already killed the penny, and House Resolution 1270 is already written, already introduced, already waiting for a vote. When it passes, every nickel becomes a relic, and the 5 nickels on this list become priceless. Check your change, check your jars, check your grandfather's coin collection, because right now, today, while nickels are still in your hands, that's when the treasure is found. Not after the ban, not after the headlines, now.